I'm now going to talk about and explore a tactic used by a majority of narcissists, if not all narcissists. That is to twist the truth and distort reality. If you've ever had to deal with this tactic or been in a situation where this tactic is used, you'll know that it's not a standalone tactic. It's almost always accompanied by any of these: manipulation, control, blame shifting, projection, gaslighting, the narcissist playing the victim, and smear campaign. I've experienced some form of truth distortion from all three narcissists, but for now I'll focus primarily on narcissist number one, the woman who birthed me. As with everything in my childhood, I started noticing things at a very young age. There were two distinct situations in which the woman who birthed me carried out this tactic. Situation number one: I'd either be in my room or need to be called to my room. My father would come in and start with, "Your mother said," or "you said or did, X, Y, Z." He'd finish speaking, and then I'd say, or try to say, how things actually happened. The woman who birthed me would then storm into my room as if she'd been listening out in the hall, and she'd start shouting, "Why are you lying? All you ever do is lie. Why do you have to cause so many problems?" Or variations of these, but the end point was that I was lying. I'd have no choice but to accept the blame and receive the physical beating disguised as punishment. Situation two: the woman who birthed me would call me into her room for these long as fuck talks, and I'm talking like hours. She'd start with her twisted version of the truth. I'd try to correct her and say what actually happened, point out how she's the one who did the wrong. She'd then take my statement or words that I had just spoken, twist them again, and come up with more scenarios. I try to correct what she had just said and go back to the original, this is the truth, this is the facts. Or I didn't say it like that, or you're misunderstanding me. But each time I spoke the truth, more and more the truth got twisted and distorted. Eventually I'd be accused of misunderstanding her, lying, and making false accusations. But at the end of the day, I'd be too drained and confused to even think straight. So I'd just accept my fate and, just get it over with. When I say these talks went on for hours, that's not a joke. That's like serious. Even after I left the house and the country, I ended up going through these cycles where I'd cut contact with her. Some time would pass, like a week, 2 weeks. She'd then get back in touch with me with a long ass email. She had to contact me via email because she'd be blocked all elsewhere. The email itself usually didn't make sense. Like, she'd start with something and then it would get like very confusing. She'd contradict herself. It was just a mess. At the end, I'd feel guilty. Thank you, trauma bond. And then I'd open communication again. Things would then go well for a while. She'd once more start to show her true colors. I'd point out how she'd hurt me. She'd start, her manipulation and her twisting the truth, and I'd cut contact again. The last time this happened in September, October last year, I then decided that's it. I'm done. I'm not doing this again. Even if she comes crawling back, I'm not doing it again. And she didn't contact me, and I didn't contact her. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch my place. Right. I was recently on TikTok and I saw a video of someone talking about this. They called this method the word vomit method, used by the narcissist. I think this is perfect because the narcissist literally spews anything, whether it's true or not true, whether it makes sense or doesn't make sense. They try and wiggle their way out of being blamed and accepting accountability for what they've definitely done wrong. Through this tactic, the victim starts to question their memory, themselves, their reality. Some victims also, because of this tactic, learn just to rather remain silent and accept whatever the narcissist throws at them for the sake of keeping the peace. In my last interaction with the woman who birthed me, she told me again that I was the problematic one between us two, and I always had been. I started to wonder and question if this was true. Had I really been the problem all this time? Then I suddenly had a well fuck moment. Most people have aha moments or light bulb moments. I like to call mine well fuck moments. In this moment, I knew that I was not, nor have ever been, the problematic one. Now you're probably asking, how did I know? It's easy. I was self-reflecting. That's it. I was self-reflecting. That alone told me that I could not have been the problem. Nice try on her part, though. Anyway, the woman who birthed me used very specific phrases in all her interactions with me. These are as follows. You are misunderstanding what I am saying. You are always looking for fault with me. I constantly have to walk on eggshells and watch what I say around you. I don't have to accept your false accusations of me, all the while accusing me falsely of random shit. You are the one in the wrong. I'm hurt you could say something like this to me. Meanwhile, hurting my feelings just as much by, if not worse, false accusations. But my feelings didn't matter. Just her feelings. You are doing everything you are accusing me of. She used that one in almost every... I may have mentioned this. You are the problematic one. It's you who's twisting the truth. You never listen to anyone. You always just do your own thing. And I'm gonna get to much later in my timeline when the social service was involved, and something she told me then that I'll never forget. But that's much later on. And then after I learned that she was a narcissist or is a narcissist, and I started telling her, hey, you're a narcissist, she started saying to me, you are the narcissist. Yeah. The main reason a narcissist uses this tactic is to avoid blame and accountability for what they have done. They will shift blame onto the victim. They will project their wrongs onto the victim. They will gaslight the shit out of their victims. There's a quote that says, gaslighting is when a narcissist focuses on your reaction to their behavior instead of their behavior that caused your reaction in the first place. Another quote, a narcissist will set you on fire and then blame you for burning. I love that quote. Another one, nobody gets angrier than a narcissist being accused of something they definitely did. Another quote, every accusation from a narcissist is a confession in disguise. It's not wrong to stand up for yourself and confront someone on how they hurt you. It's not wrong to have boundaries and keep those boundaries. It's not wrong to put your own mental health first. This is a form of self-care. This is necessary. It's not selfish. People who don't like you standing up for yourself or calling them out on their bullshit are people who don't like that you're blocking their access to you. People who are bothered by you sharing your experiences are people who are afraid that your truth will expose their lies. In all my interactions and confrontations with the woman who birthed me, she got angry at my reaction to her toxic behavior. She'd never ever mention what she did or even apologize. Hold on. If she did apologize, she would apologize for everything. And I'd often say to her, please be more specific. Because apologizing for everything, covering it over with a everything blanket is not an apology. I will go into more detail and, later on about this specific topic. So, you don't want to miss that one. But apologizing for everything is not an apology because they cover it with everything. So they don't have to say, right, I said this or I did that upset you. And I'm now going to self-reflect and I'm now going to look at myself and I'm going to fix what I did. So they cover it with everything. I'm sorry for everything. That is not an apology. Instead, she'd get offended that I'd reacted to and pointed out what she did. She'd be offended by my reaction and try to dodge the blame. There's another quote that says, they weren't sorry while they thought you didn't know. If I'd never pointed out how she'd hurt me, if I'd chosen to remain silent, there would be no conflict. There'd be no long, confusing back and forth. And she'd just have kept doing what she did, hurting me, and I just kept it all bottled up like I did for my entire childhood and my life in that house, as well as most of my time after I left the house. The thing about confronting a narcissist is that they will then want to use that confrontation for their own benefit. I'm not talking about maintaining their image and avoiding accountability now, which is part of it. But a narcissist also feeds off drama. Where no drama exists, they will make shit up and create drama. So when a narcissist is confronted for doing something wrong, they will use this as their drama feed. With the woman who birthed me, I unknowingly would engage in long, long arguments, back and forth text messages, and she'd resort to the usual tactics, but the drama was there. She was getting her fix, like a drug fix. When I talk about my time with narcissist number 2, you'll see how I try to avoid the drama for the sake of my children. Even before I even knew about narcissism. And he'd keep poking and provoking until I'd give a reaction. He'd then use gaslighting. Oh, he was a master gaslighter, now that I look back on it. But again, that's for when I get around to, talking about him. Post-breakdown, I've learned that there are ways in which you can still, if needed, confront a narcissist and keep your boundaries and starve them of their drama supply. I'm not sure when I'll share that knowledge with all of you of what I learned, because there's a lot that I learned post breakdown. I might keep it for after I've talked about the breakdown and then, go into everything I've learned. Then I'm not sure yet. I'm redoing all my scripts, and I'll tell you about that later on as well. But yeah, so there is a way to keep a narcissist at bay with not giving them what they're wanting, but still telling them, you've hurt me, you've done wrong, I'm not letting my boundaries down because you want to feel comfortable. But I'll see when I share all of that. Okay, so that's all for this episode, I guess. I kept it short this time. Yay me, yay. Thank you for joining me here. Remember to take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.